important second input device, which is the mouse. Not the mouse, rather it's the mouse. Actually, I'm not sure how it's spelled in French, but that is besides the point. We've been talking about this pointing device thingy called the mouse, right? And it operates and moves the cursor about. Hopefully you should remember this, where on our screen we have the cursor. Now, the mouse is a very useful input device when we use the current type of user interface. Now, once you switch on your computer, nowadays you might be using a Mac or a PC or a tablet or whatnot. We'll mostly use GUI, which stands for graphical user interface, right? So, graphical. Wow, very easy, Nudge. Okay, let's make it easier for you to see, right? Graphical user interface, right? And graphical user interface, you might or might not be familiar with this term, but basically it is based on graphics, right? So we have graphics, rich graphics, and we have things such as icons on your desktop. Icons being things that you can click or double click to launch a program, right? Or to call it from the hard disk drive to the RAM, right? And once you do that, usually you have some kind of a window. And the window is something that you can click and drag from one point to another, or you can click and drag to enlarge or make it smaller. You can manipulate your windows in many ways, right? So again, here, if we recall all of these things, we have icons that we can click. So you use this thing instead of this thing. Although you can also use this thing by pressing enter, but mostly we use this thing. You can click and drag, you use this thing. You can click and drag and resize, you can click and drag from one point to another, you use this thing. So graphical user interface uses the mouse a lot, right? So the mouse is one input device called the pointing device. Right? And its purpose is to move a cursor or the cursor, right, which is an on-screen pointer or an on-screen arrow, right, which indicates action, moving from one point to another, right? And there are various different kinds of mouse. Need to say, most mouse nowadays, although we have mechanical mouse, most people nowadays use what we call the optical mouse, right? And a lot of mouse nowadays also have what we call the scroller or wheel mouse, right? Yeah, some kind of scroller, crank, which makes it easy. Usually the sound is like that for whatever reasons. I think you find that familiar. Crank, for easy scrolling on websites. Anyway, there are several different kinds of pointing devices as well. We have trackball. Oopsie. Wow, why did I keep writing it incorrectly? Trackball, which is like an upside down mechanical mouse, right? We have joysticks. These are the less common ones, or rather the ones that we know a lot of us are using. You might have heard of the trackpad or touchpad, right? So when or if you have a laptop, right? Usually what happens with your laptop is that you'll have space at the front. Your laptop will have some extra space at the front where you have like some kind of a sensitive area, rectangular sensitive area, in which you can touch and move the cursor around. And that part is called a trackpad or touchpad, right? So it's a touch sensitive area on a portable device using a laptop, which you use to control your cursor. That is a trackpad or touchpad. You also have the pointing stick. You can refer to your slide for this. Pointing stick. Right. Needless to say, you might be using a tablet in which you might be using a touch screen and or a stylus, and these are all different types of pointing devices. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different kinds, aside from the regular mouse that we use, right? You might have other things that you might have used for your pointing device. For example, some of you might have used a tablet, a drawing tablet kind of thing, right? And these are all pointing devices, and these are the two input devices that we've discussed: keyboard and pointing device.